All right, guys, so today we're doing a rescue mission on an E53 X5. We had this car on the channel before, and it's come back now. We did the transmission service on this. It's probably been, I don't know, a month or two ago. And that's all good, but, we got a noise coming from the engine, and we're fairly certain it's the alternator. Phil will insert the clip here. He said it was leaking transmission fluid, so we thought, but this is an 04, I think, and it still takes ATF in the power steering. So there's no transmission fluid leaking at all. We will check the level anyway, but there is power steering fluid leaking, or ATF, out of that area, and I'm pretty sure that's what's going on with that. Driving fine, shifting fine, but there's another issue. It does have a little bit of a weird noise and some kind of like drag on it, like something's going on. It's got a little bit of a noise in it. The hell is that noise? You hear that?
Yeah.
It's like a moaning. Do we have a transfer case problem or do we not? Or do we have a transmission issue? I doubt that though. We thought maybe it was a CV axle. The passenger one has a little bit of play in it, but it's not bad. But it feels like it's dragging. Actually, fairly similar to the Audi, which you haven't seen the videos yet on. And this kind of that howling kind of drag efficient to like something holding it back a little bit, and we're going slow. It feels like something's like fighting against each other in the diff, in the front diff or rear diff. We looked at all the drive shafts, the front rear drive shaft, all the CV axles. I don't see anything that's going to cause that. So I guess what we're going to do, very next thing, we're going to start with the front diff. We're going to drain the diff fluid and see if there's problems. And this thing's probably so far overdue for a drain and refill. So we got some 85W90. We got a gallon of it. That should be enough to do the front and rear diff. And if we don't come across anything in either one of those, we will have to start looking into something with the transfer case, which on this year should take ATF. But it's definitely drive axle, drive differential related. It's very bizarre. But let's get up on the lift. So we just took the fill plug out of the front diff. Now we're going to take the drain plug out, which is right here. And I already broke it loose, guys. I'm not that strong, right? So let's see if I can get this on my shirt real quick. And how it looks on the inside. Actually, it looks pretty clean. Smells like broken dreams. There's not any trash. I can see all the way through it. It's fairly fresh. So let's let it drain. We'll refill it here. So we have like a real pump for like tranny fluid and DSG fluid, but I don't want to put this nasty diff oil in it. So it's like we're squeezing lotion out forever. I think this is 2 quarts, quart and a half or 2 quarts. So it's not that big of a deal, but we'll be back in a little bit. Actually, it looks really, really good and really, really new. See, I mean, this may be redoing here. Oh, so the front took 3/4 of a quart. And I believe the back is one that takes 2. No, you don't. Get in there. And so, yeah, we'll let it drain out. Put it back in. We'll fill it back up and see. But I don't see there being any issue at all inside there. We're gonna close out this video. I've seen rear control arms that were bad, but not this bad. As you can see in the clip we'll insert, the whole back wheel, rear wheel on this car on both sides, when he puts it in gear, the whole thing shifts forward and back. Fill in the brake, put it in drive. Neutral. Drive. And we could take the back and go like this. Now, when I was looking at the back, I didn't necessarily jiggle them. I could just look and see the boots are rotted on the uppers. But I didn't realize the forward-facing control arms are that bad also. They're actually worse. We probably got 3/8, maybe a half inch of play. I could just grab it, go like this, and hear it bang around. And the back tires are getting chattered up, which is normal for an X5, but we had it running with the lift up in the air, and both the front tires, actually when it's running, you can see them going like this, and the back tires are like a little bit like chattery. So by pushing forward on the front tires, the front control arms are fairly bad. It's not causing a problem, but I think what's happening here is when we go to drive it, because it sounds like something's fighting against each other, I think it's actually the alignment so screwed up in the back, because we drained the front diff, as you see, in the rear diff, and we also did the transfer case off camera, and all that fluid is fine. We topped up the transmission, and he said it was leaking transmission fluid. It was about a quart low, but we wiped everything out. There's no drips. The only drips I see is power steering fluid coming from up here, running back under the tray and dripping out the back of the aluminum tray. So we'll have to monitor the transmission, but there's no transmission codes. It seems like it's shifting great. But I think what's happening is running the traction control, and the traction control light is on. So we're gonna drive it with the scanner and make sure the codes coincide with that. But we have to have rear control arms at the minimum. If it was my X5, oh, and alternator. If it was my X5, at this point in time, it would get alternator. It would get OEM alternators, probably close to $300. It would get, because alternator's on its, he couldn't remember if it was rebuilt or it's AutoZone. Either way, it's with Chinese parts, and that's why it's going out. It would get new tires. So alternator, new tires, all control arms, all front and all rear. And we'll call and see if he wants to do that. That is a fair amount of money. Tires for this thing are probably, I don't know, we haven't bought tires in a few months. They're probably double what we're used to paying. They're probably $400 for this thing. The control arms are probably, for the front and the rears, probably getting close to $200 for all control arms. That is a lot of work. That needs alignment when it's done. So we can't see any issue with anything. The CV axles in the front have a normal amount of play in them. Like nothing's bad. Nothing's like ate up or anything like that. Nothing's ripped or leaking. And so yeah, that's my diagnostics here. So at this point in time, if we go any further, we need 7, 8, Jesus Christ, boys. We need $900 for the stuff just to make this thing function normally again. I think those rear tires are chattered up enough to where there's no, we need $1,000. We need alignment too. Price alignment's gone through the roof. So yeah, we'll see. This is about a $2,500 car at best. Is it worth spending $1,000 just in parts in it? I don't know. That's what you have to look at. It's the E53 Legacy. Is it worth fixing? How much do you like it? This thing does have a little over 200, or right at 200,000 miles on it. So, but this is N62, not M62 TU. So the engine is not really smoking at all on cold start or after idle. So, you know, we'll see how it goes. But that's it. Thanks for watching. Be back again with another video very soon.